Good afternoon, everyone. This is Alexandra Meadors of GalacticConnection.com, and today is February 4th, 2014. And as you all know, this is our regular monthly Cobra update to review the incidences and events that are going on around the world and looking at them through a galactic lens, if not more possible intel with which Cobra will share with us. Anyway, hi, Cobra. How are you?
Hi, everybody. I'm very good. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, a lot of changes going on, and I really wanted to kind of start out with there was a lot of hype about a potential false flag around the main, football game yesterday, the Super Bowl, and I was wondering, was that diverted or was that just typical, hype about diverting us away from something that's more nefarious?
Basically, every major event that happened on the planet, there is somebody that says it's going to be a false flag event on that particular event. Olympics, Super Bowl, you name it. There is always somebody saying it's going to be a false flag event taking place. But as you have probably noticed, on such events, nothing usually happens. Very rarely, maybe once in a few decades.
True.
Also, the security has greatly improved. The light forces are much more powerful now than they were a few decades ago. So I would say it is highly unlikely that something like this would ever happen from now on any of those events.
God, that's awesome. That's great news. And in fact, that kind of leads me to one of my questions, which was I stumbled upon a very non-mainstream article, and it was giving a very specific dissertation on the number of special ops that are all over the world and that they had risen dramatically. I was wondering if you could give me your perspective on that. Is that representing the fact that they're having more opposition from the light, or is that more a representation that, they're just doing more global wars?
Actually, the situation is accelerating. As you have probably noticed in the last, let's say, 2 weeks, things are slowly beginning to accelerate, and this also implies more activity of those people.
Yeah, it does. Now, you left off with me last time that January 1st was the beginning of a sequence of 3 events that would be a resistance movement, and they were very positive in your opinion. And the first one you said had gone very well. The second one was to come up in 2 weeks, and then the third one. Everyone would like to know if you could give us an update on that.
I cannot give you much update, in details, apart from the fact that all 3 phases have been successfully completed.
Very good. Yes, and can you at least tell us, is this regarding the financial system, the political system?
It is regarding the financial system and the overall progress towards the event.
Excellent. Right on. Now, you kind of put out a somewhat cryptic message on the 30th of January, and you had a cartoon up there that said, yeah, I see him too, but nobody wants to talk about it, and it was an elephant in the room. And then you presented a picture of a G2 embedded star, L1 point with a Roche lobe. And then you showed an Easter egg being held by a woman with a rabbit and a unicorn.
Yes, it's true.
Can you give us a little bit more detail as to what, you were trying to put across to the ground crew?
Basically, this message is for people to start thinking and to start delving deeper in the message. And as they do so, there will be a certain inner process taking place that will prepare people for the next phase of what's going to happen regarding all those events which were hinted in that message.
Yes. I'm presuming that the L1 point, is that representing the actual event or the 0 point?
I would not say so.
No. Okay. Something different than that. Okay. And I wanted to kind of go over a few things with you from some of your prior posts. You had mentioned in your January 24th post about how fragile the Internet infrastructure has become. What do you feel has ultimately contributed to that?
It's this over-reliance on Internet. You see all the infrastructure, food production, industrial production systems all rely on Internet. And Internet is not a very stable infrastructure. So this has positive side effects and negative side effects. The positive side effects being that the light forces, especially the resistance movement at the time of the event, can have a great impact on the planetary infrastructure at the time of the event. So we will actually use this infrastructure weakness to promote the light forces at the time of the event, and it will be a very, actually, it can ease up the process.
Yeah, and I mean, I've definitely noticed some really bizarre stuff going on with the computers and internet. I mean, just really weird stuff, like my mouse just disappears off the screen. You know, I mean, it's just constant. Now, Cobra, can you tell us a little bit more about the U.S.-China relationship regarding the SDRs? And for those out there that are listening, that's the special drawing rights that were created by the IMF for Internet accounting purposes. I think you mentioned that we had arrived at a point where, you know, it wasn't just the banks, but the countries themselves that were getting in very serious financial trouble. Where do you see us now in the month of February? Because I know in January, the resistance had a lot of great hopes that we would really be knocking the banks down a huge peg financially. Do you feel like that's occurred? And if so, is it because of the faction, I should say the schism between China and the United States?
It is not just about China and the United States. It's a global process.
Yeah.
And you have positive and negative factions in every country. And the positive factions are going to use this instrument of special drawing rights to support the reset. Of course, the Cabal has their own version of the reset, and it's not going to be successful. The Cabal wants to create a global centralized banking system that will be partially backed by gold, and it would be still hidden. It would not be transparent. And the light forces have a plan to create an open source, transparent banking system, which would be completely open and completely gold backed. And both systems can use SDRs as their, I would say, core currency, which would be, of course, expanded to include other currencies in the basket. SDRs include US dollar, British pound, euro, and Japanese yen. There will be some other currency that will need to be included in that.
Okay, I was just going to ask you about that too. So from the perspective of the ground crew, the key things that we should be looking for so that we're not being misled by that which we read, okay, is it should be completely transparent, and you're saying it should be 100% backed by gold.
Yes, it will be completely transparent. Everybody will be able to understand and follow the workings of the new financial system.
Okay. And I was going to ask you about the currency basket. You know, obviously you have the four majors, which have been around for a long time. And then you mentioned that the yuan and the franc were going to be added. Do you foresee any other, like, is there going to get to be a point where every single currency out there ends up playing its piece in the currency basket?
Actually, it's not necessary. We just need to include the major currencies, and there will be new exchange rates determined by the productivity of the nations, and this is also called revaluation. And of course, this revaluation does not include or predict a very drastic increase of the value of Iraqi dinar, which is the basis of much speculation, because the productivity of that country is simply not high enough to warrant a global operation that would finance the sudden wealth of countless individuals, or some people are predicting. So this is not going to happen.
Wow. So for all of those, like myself, who bought dinars, is that just going to be kind of a lost cause, do you think?
No, maybe you will earn a little bit, but not something to be overly drastic about.
Okay. Okay. Now, you also mentioned Bundesbank. Is that how you pronounce it? Bundesbank?
Bundesbank, yes.
Bundesbank, yes. You said that they had been much more permeated by the light forces, and that it was one of the main triggers to reveal the fact that Federal Reserve does not have any gold left. Is this happening across the board with other banks? I mean, are there other banks that the light forces have infiltrated successfully at this point in February?
I would say the banks, which are national banks of the countries, are usually more open to the light forces than the privately owned banks. It's not a general rule, it's just something that occurs a little bit more often. And of course, there are other banks which are being permeated by the light forces. And actually, in every major bank, you have agents of the light working on the cover. And they will be activated when the time is right.
Interesting. Wow. I mean, you can almost like just see the bank network of the light, in your mind's eye. It's really outstanding. Now, this is a really biggie that I think a lot of us are wondering about. Is there was a lot of discussion and speculation about what was going to happen with the 2,500 people that met for the financial reset meeting, the Cabal, in the Swiss mountains. And I was wondering, they called it the reshaping of the world, consequences for society, politics, and business. Can you give us all kind of an upshot of what occurred at that meeting from your intel?
Basically, they met with the purpose of designing the Cabal solution of the financial reset. And they actually accept a strategic plan, how this will be implemented. And this Davos meeting is actually a consequence of a very intense lobbying by the Jesuits in the last few months to convince the Cabal in their version of the financial reset. And this is exactly what they're trying to do. And the basic idea would be to have the Jesuits at the top of the new banking system. This is what they want to create, as they are now at the top of the old banking system.
Yeah.
And of course, this is not going to happen.
Right. Just they want the lateral move.
Yes.
So now the Chinese government apparently is really according to many articles out there, is cracking down on corruption. Do you agree that this is really happening? I mean, one report says that over 182 officials were actually punished, is the word they used.
Yes, it's a cleanup of the mid-level Cabal management from China. Some of them are being arrested, some of them escape from the country, and this is exactly what's going on right now.
That's awesome news. And also, I was shocked when I stumbled upon this. It appears that China has fulfilled the promise to dismantle hundreds of labor camps and release tens of thousands of people that were imprisoned without trial. Any word on that?
Yes, this is what happened.
Wow.
Actually started to happen a few months ago, and this process is ongoing.
Now, why a few months ago, Cobra? Why all of a sudden, like a light switch, bam, they decide to clean up things?
You see, operations like this have many phases. The first phase is the infiltration of the light forces inside the structure of the government. The second phase is preparation of the operation itself. And the third phase is when the light forces take action. It's usually a sudden action which creates a sudden shift of the situation, but nobody sees the months and years of preparation that went into that action. So now the situation on the planet is ready for the light forces to do more and more drastic moves inside of the system in many countries.
This is so exciting. Now, apparently China also gave a go-ahead to set up 3 to 5 private banks as a pilot scheme, they said. And I was wondering, is this going to be basically like a prototype that will be, this is the way that the other countries will follow through on their other financial restructuring?
I would not agree with that. Basically, you still have two factions in China. You still have agents of the Cabal in China, and there are many people in China that want to have different agendas. Some of them want a strong imperialistic China, and this is not exactly what the plan is of the light forces. China has its rightful role in the new financial system, but the purpose is not for the China to become a superpower that would dominate the world.
Okay, God, and you just led right into my next question. Removing the Shackles put out a very long article, and it was pretty convincing, and there was another article from, I forgot what the blog's name was. They did a lot of research on the whole China connection with the HSBC and the humanitarian cause and all this stuff. They are swearing that Madame Wu and Generals Wang and Li are not of the White Dragons, and they're not the good guy humanitarian saviors of the world. That was the quote. Can you comment on that?
Yes. As I said before, there are still on high positions inside the Chinese government, there are still many agents of the Cabal, and not everybody has the planetary interest in their minds. And also, The White Dragons, they also have their own agenda. They are supporting the light forces, but they're not 100% pure and light. So the whole process, it's a restructuring process also in China. When the light forces are increasing their power and are aligning themselves with the plan of the light forces, but this process has not been complete yet. So it's not all black and white.
Yeah, there's just so many different variations of gray, and I find that for all of the bloggers out there, it's just becoming a little bit more challenging to sift through the information that's coming through. There's so many different perspectives now that are coming out.
Also, as I already mentioned on my blog, the information war is reaching its peak because we're one of the decisive periods right now, and a lot of intel is released, and also a lot of disinfo is released, and this will continue in the next few weeks especially.
Yeah, it's very deliberate. You can totally tell. Now, one of the comments you also made on the 24th of January was that the current Archon leader role, his role was to maintain the quarantine status of planet Earth and to prevent certain things from happening. Can you elaborate on what those certain things would be?
No.
Okay. I knew you were going to say that. And then also somebody had written in and they had asked that on the 12th of January you were talking about the fall of the Archons. You mentioned that the Sphinx Stargate G2 cloud likely contained a star and it increased the chances of a core explosion. Her response was, if the Cabal are worried, shouldn't we be? Is this indicating that there's great harm coming to the Earth? Can you comment on that?
You don't need to be worried. They need to be worried.
Well, there you go. That sums it up, short and sweet and to the point. And now, you mentioned the Etheric Infrasound technology. It's really interesting, Cobra, because I have another individual who told me this literally like 2 months ago, that they were going to start using some sort of sound type scalar technology in countering vibration and resonance and that kind of thing with humanity. Can you give us an update on have the light forces made any progress on nipping that in the bud?
Yes, as I said before, most of that technology is gone already, and the rest of it will be gone quite soon, in my opinion.
Okay, well that's good too. Now you also talked about, and you made reference to the Lords of Karma. Remember this? You were talking about the death process, and you made reference to one of the articles, I believe, by Cameron Day, which was a fascinating article, I might add. And one of the comments I had was, I had read somewhere that only 70 people have successfully managed to ascend out of this matrix. Do you agree with that? And if so, can you give us some details as to how they were able to do it?
There were 70 people that had reached the Ascended Master status, and there were about I would say between 450 and 500 people that were able to escape the matrix and the quarantine and go beyond duality. And the vast majority of them did that before 1996, before the Congo invasion. After the Congo invasion, there were only 5 or 6 individuals that managed to do so.
Wow. I mean, you mentioned that the Congo invasion was one of the worst things that could have happened to this planet, right?
Yes.
Oh, wow, I did not know it was that. Wow. Okay, so my next question to you is, Obama, as you know, gave his State of the Union address, and he mentioned that the U.S. troops will be fully withdrawn from Iraq and Afghanistan. Why are they really doing that?
Simply because there is not enough money left.
And is it also because, is the drug smuggling coming to an end as well?
That's also true, yes. This is one of the big operations of the light forces to cut off the drug trade. So the Cabal will not be able to use that as they have been using before.
Okay.
As a sources of money.
So do you also feel that the United States government is still supporting Syria, President Bashar al-Assad?
It depends on how you define the United States government. There are factions everywhere, and as you know, until recently they were supporting the rebels, or shall we not say the rebels, but forces behind the rebels, which were actually supporting the Cabal Jesuit agenda.
Okay. And then, I just had to run this by you. It says he declared that a state should exist for the Palestinian people, but that, quote, a Jewish state of Israel must also exist and be secure. How do you see that unfolding right now? Apparently, Israel's going gangbusters, building just a ton of so-called settlements for the Palestinians. Where do you see that going right now?
What is happening is a big restructuring of the Middle East. And this big restructuring will ultimately lead to a peace and stability in that region when the Cabal agents will be forced to be removed from that part of the world. And you will have many surprising events in that region as we are approaching closer to the event.
Awesome. I have to run this by you. I just kind of stumbled upon this. Do you know that he announced the new federal retirement proposal? Guess what it was called? You're going to trip. It was called My Ra. Capital M, little y, and then capital R, capital A.
Yeah, that's okay.
Well, don't you think that's pretty coincidental? I mean,
well, there are no accidents. There are no.
I don't know. Okay, and then, I got to thinking about all the politicians and the bankers and the high-profile individuals that are being exposed for drug trafficking and money laundering and child molestation and pedophilia. And I know that this is modus operandi for the Illuminati to cut the cord for those that they are paying off. They'll bring them down through this kind of information being released to the public. If they want to bring somebody down, they'll say, oh, well, he was a drug trafficker or whatever. Do you feel that this sort of whistleblowing has been going on, Cobra, like rampantly for a long time, but was just never revealed because people were so afraid of their lives? I guess my question is, do you feel that people are earnestly feeling a resurgence of courage now because there's so many whistleblowers?
Yeah, it's much easier to leak information now. It's much easier to come and say something in the public because there is much more support of the light than it was a few years ago.
Mm. And do you feel that that's also because the resistance is, with the ground crew, like from a vibrational light level?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, that too. So what are the implications of Vatican Monsignor Nunzio Scarano being arrested for money laundering? Is this a really big deal, or is it just another crack in their being unable to grab some more millions?
It's a little crack, but also it's a smokescreen. The people think that something is going on. The Vatican wants to present an image of reform, of finally becoming the honest guy, but it's not true. It's just a Jesuit strategy to actually remodel the front of the Vatican image a little bit and say, now we are cleaning it, now we are getting clean, everything will be fine.
They're not doing a very good job, at least with us.
Yes, exactly.
Now, I also wanted to run by you. Did you hear about this? The EPA declared that the city of Riverton, Wyoming, that has a population of 10,000, is no longer part of the United States. Did you hear about this?
There have been many attempts in this direction in the past, and this is all part of an overall movement towards, I would say, towards sovereignty.
I just thought it was outstanding. I couldn't believe it. And then, this is a question I have for you. This was from the United Kingdom. A Scotland Yard report leaked to the media revealing that the Britain's criminal justice system is infiltrated by criminals who buy off jurors and threaten them for advantageous verdicts. The thing that caught my eye was it said a Scotland Yard report. Has the Scotland Yard been infiltrated by the light forces?
Light forces are now everywhere.
Aha! Man, that's great to hear. I love it. Okay. And do you have any additional juicy information on the whole scandal with HSBC and the whistleblower Everett Stern?
I have no special news in that direction. It's just part of an overall process of dismantling the old financial system.
Because that was pretty big. That was really big. And then the Christmas cyber attack on the Target shoppers' credit cards, was that also, was that actually like a light forces mission, or was that just, the infrastructure is weakening? The
light forces have tested the financial system electronically in July 2012, so this was not required on it anymore.
Okay, so they're just kind of letting it unfold.
Yes, it's now just It's a gradual meltdown, I would say.
Now, what is your opinion about the 34 nuclear missile Air Force officers that have been suspended? Who is behind that, and what is to gain from whoever is behind that?
The Cabal wants to purge the military, the positive forces from the military, but they will not be successful.
And I remember you and I talked a while back, and there were 22 very high up generals and colonels, et cetera, that resigned or were let go from the military. And you did mention that was on the part of the Cabal. Have you had any information as far as them restructuring and working on their own positive military, mission or what have you?
I'm not allowed to say much. The only thing I can say is that the positive military has a plan that is strong enough that can sustain the attacks of the Cabal on the positive military.
Excellent. Excellent. And do you feel, Cobra, that there's so much heat on the Vatican now with the sexual crimes and the molestation of children, and, God, the videos and the whistleblowers and the testimonials that are coming out? I mean, they're like right, left, and center. There was even the part about Tony Blair being involved with Jimmy Savile, and that went all over the place. Do you feel that this is causing them to slow down on their efforts of molestation and child trafficking and that kind of thing?
Definitely, this has been reduced greatly because now the Cabal is afraid of being caught for the first time ever.
Excellent. God, I love it. That is so cool. And I also read the other day that Mexico has legalized vigilante groups in the fight against drug cartels. The government did this after the vigilantes arrested local police who were known to be working with the cartels. I mean, I could just go on. I'm blown away. It just seems like a light switch went on within the last 60 days. I mean, it's all over the place.
Actually, it started around January 21st when, as I said, the three-phase operation has been completed and the switch went on the 21st of January. And you can see the news starting from that day were much more positive regarding the progress of the light forces.
Big time. Now, tell us, I mean, everybody wants to know, what is your perception of Bitcoin now? They have arrested the two leaders of Bitcoin. You heard about this? They got arrested supposedly for money laundering.
Basically, the Bitcoin was a big threat to the Cabal, and this is why it happened.
So that's the only reason that they got arrested, is they're getting in their way. Okay. And so are you still holding the opinion that that's the better way to go right now, is Bitcoin?
Bitcoin is an alternative. It will not be the backbone of the new financial system, but it's good to have such alternatives during the transition process because it gives more power to the light forces during the transition.
Okay. And I had one person write in, and they just want to know, bottom line, do you feel that Putin is working for the light?
Okay, I will put it this way. He is a human being with his flaws, and I don't agree with everything he does, but he is supporting the agenda of the light forces right now.
Awesome. So you've never said that before. That's really big. I'm really glad to hear that. Thank you for that. And now, Cobra, do you have any alternative way for us to counter the information that's been coming out about the Chrome web browser? Did you hear about this? That has a speech recognition application. It basically records everything you say when you're around your computer, even when the program is turned off.
Do not use that browser. It's very simple.
That's it. That's it in a nutshell. Okay.
Yes, I would suggest Firefox. It's at this moment the safest browser concerning privacy.
I second that because it's the only one I'll use too. And a lot of the IT guys tell you the same thing. So, okay. Now I do want to ask you some questions regarding Fulford.
Okay.
And I was wondering what you thought about this. He had mentioned that Pope Francis and Barack Obama signed a master agreement relating to gold located in Mindanao to be used to underwrite a massive campaign to end poverty and stop environmental destruction. Is this a sign of the changes within the Vatican or just more propaganda?
Basically, there is no gold in Mindanao that Fulford is talking about, and this so-called agreement is just a smokescreen.
Okay.
It is not valid.
And I mentioned once before that Blair is getting a really bad press right now. He's been exposed for his pedophilia. Can you give us an update? It's been a long time since we've talked about the royal family, and he mentioned that Queen Elizabeth is handing his duty, she's handing her duties over to Prince Charles. So I wanted to know what you felt were the implications of just that alone.
I would say that the positive Templars are quite active in Great Britain right now and working on exposing the royal family and the Cabal members in British government.
Very cool. Now, I also saw him say that they're moving to legalize marijuana and that this will be kind of a snowball effect as far as cutting down the amount of money that's available to them. So are you agreeing that this is really truly going on all over the world? I mean, I saw some articles in Mexico as well as North Korea.
Yes, I agree completely with what he said about this.
Wow. Good God. I mean, can't get over it. Now, what is your feeling about Saudi Arabia? They apparently have been approached by the Mid-Eastern countries, and they're being threatened that all of their ties will be cut off if they continue to support the United States cabal. Do you agree with that? Is there something like that going on?
You see, Saudi Arabia is now in the crossfire because it was supporting the cabal in the last few decades, and now they suddenly have to shift alliances. And that process is not easy for hardcore Kabbalists in Saudi Arabia, but they have to do it. And this is their only way of surviving the next few months, one way or the other. So that's a big shift, a big turmoil in Saudi Arabia because they have to cut off their ties with the Bushes, with the Illuminati, and they have to negotiate with the Eastern Alliance. And this is exactly what's happening right now.
Wow. Okay, and here's a comment I wanted to get your opinion on. It says, remember that the January 31st settlement date came last week, and if any major bank, such as JP Morgan, was unable to deliver physical gold, they will be given until mid-February to come up with it before they are liquidated. What do you think about this, number one? And number two, is that really true? Have they been given their sign? Do we have enough clout and power at this point to truly liquidate someone as big as JP Morgan?
It's a possibility. I would say that there is a certain time window between the 7th and 11th of February when certain big things can be triggered inside the global financial system. I cannot guarantee you that, but there is a certain operation of the light forces taking place that might result in drastic shifts in the planetary financial system in that time window. It's a possibility.
Wow.
We'll see how it works out.
So you're saying the 7th through the 11th?
Between the 7th and the 11th, there is a time window that something major may happen in the planetary financial system. I'm not speaking about the reset. I'm speaking about a certain event that could catch the attention of the masses.
Very cool. Now, one of the questions I had for you was, this is a little bit going off subject, but you, of course, know about the blood moons. And supposedly there's 4 of them in the years of 2014 and 2015. How does that play a part in all of this unfolding of the financial system collapse?
It's actually not just about the financial system collapse. It's about the whole process of planetary liberation or revelation of the beginning of the new cycle, the shift of the ages. And all those astrological movements actually trigger certain energies that can then trigger physical changes on this planet.
Can you tell the audience exactly what a blood moon is and why it's so powerful?
These are actually moons which usually happen around the spring or autumn equinox. And in this year and the next year, this year especially, they fall on very important Jewish festivals, which is a big omen for Jews. And the last time this happened was in the year 79, when the Romans destroyed the temple in Jerusalem. So this usually, from their perspective, it happens in the moment of historical significance. And of course, you know that the Cabal, the Illuminati, are obsessed with Jerusalem and the Jerusalem temple.
Yes.
So it is a big symbolic date for them as well.
And they're obsessed with this temple because?
They are obsessed with this temple because their lineage the lineage of some major Illuminati priests comes from the temple in Jerusalem.
Now, getting back to the monetary situation, do you agree, too, that the United States will actually run out of money in February? I mean, regarding the Cabal, that is.
I would not say running out of money, but running out of ways to maintain the illusion of the fiat financial system in a way that would be convincing enough for the whole situation to function as it did before.
Very cool. Very cool. Boy, we really have made a lot of progress. So, it's kind of like Cobra, all of this stuff's been working and going on behind the scenes. You and I have been covering it, trying to bring some awareness to people about it, but now it's just becoming very evident, isn't it?
It's becoming more evident, yes. But there are stages that are coming in the future when things will be even much more evident than this.
Very exciting time to be alive. What is your opinion on Fulford's account of Angela Merkel? Apparently she had a skiing accident, and they said this was because she was suspected of being the head of the German Fourth Reich. Do you feel that that's true?
Yes, she has strong ties with the Cabal, that's true. And I had heard rumors that she was actually threatened this was not just an accident.
Yeah, they do that skiing accident. I remember Sonny Bono. Do you remember that? Sonny Bono, he had a skiing accident, and in the same week, Kennedy did, I believe.
Yes, they usually use ski accidents or airplane crashes. This is their favorite.
I mean, I'm not laughing. That sounds terrible for me to laugh, but seriously. Okay, so now, what is your feeling about one of the comments he made regarding the Zionists? It says they are now isolated and are being systematically removed in many countries in a process that's supposed to eventually lead to public arrest of all the top Zionist government leaders. And it mentions that it will be televised, which kind of sounded like what you had talked about before. Is this all?
Yes, this is going to happen at the event because Zionists are in major positions within the Cabal structure, and they will be arrested only when the event happens.
Wow. Okay, so this is all linking together. Man. Okay, now, what about his comment regarding the Washington, D.C. politician group? And he was saying that they're very aware of the underground bases and that they've all been taken over and that all the politicians are very scared about their future.
It's true.
And then I thought this was really awesome. He very much specified in a very detailed account of how to liberate the United States. And he said to occupy and nationalize the 12 Federal Reserve Bank branches, to audit the Senate and Congress and arrest all of those who have been bribed, replace the Supreme Court judges who allowed the fraudulent election of George Bush Jr., shut down the United States of America Corporation and restore the Republic, nationalize any bank that's been carrying out fraudulent derivatives trading, remove all military and agency personnel who've been bribed, write off all debts, public and private, and start rebuilding the U.S. with government-issue currency. Is that pretty much how you would define the new, the new prepare for change kind of society that we've all been looking for?
Actually, Fulford was describing one part of the plan for the event and the period shortly after the event.
Okay. Well, so is Fulford working? Is he fully on board, working with you and the resistance as well now?
We have communicated a few times. We are not cooperating very actively, but he has many interesting information sources.
Yes, this is true. Now, Cobra, here's something that I've stumbled upon. Do you agree that as of December 21st, 2012, when everybody was expecting the event to occur, was this basically due to the fact that the planet's surface was not a high enough vibration?
I said long before December 21st, everybody was expecting the ascension to happen and the first contact. And I said it's not going to happen at that time because the world was not ready. It is simply that everybody was not ready.
I agree. And also, do you feel that in order for people to withstand and go through the enlightenment ascension process, do you feel that it's absolutely imperative that all addictions be stopped, the eating of meat be stopped, that the full healing of the body be completed?
People need to understand that ascension is a transformation of consciousness. So the whole process needs to go through your consciousness. It is not something external. It's something that happens within you. It can, of course, be supported by advanced spiritual technologies, but the process needs to happen through you. And all the external changes, like change of eating habits, are just a consequence of inner spiritual transformation.
Thank
a side
you.
effect, you might say.
Thank you for that clarification, because people write me about that all the time. So, okay, Cobra, now you're in the hot seat, like you never have been before. What is your opinion of Keenan and Swiss Indo and China? I mean, there's just so much conflicting information going on out there. I've gotten quite a few emails from the people that follow Galactic Connection, and everybody's kind of scratching their head.
I would just suggest everybody use your discernment.
Well, do you also feel that, apparently the Swiss Nintendo Trust and the Quiche contracts are asking people to sign basically on the dotted line, and they're challenging that is another way of hijacking our sovereignty. Would you agree with that?
You don't need to sign anything if you don't want to. It's not something that you need to do.
I agree. Thank you. Now, here's some other questions. Can you clarify the difference between tachyon, orgone, scalar wave, and 0 point?
Okay, these are four completely different things.
I know.
Tachyon energy or tachyon particles are actually particles that travel faster than light and are basis of the light transmission in the liberated universe. 0 point energy field is the energy field of the vacuum, which transmits information through the quantum fluctuations. Orgone energy is just etheric prana chi flow that sustains the etheric plane. And the scalar technology is a standing wave technology which can transmit information or energy through standing waves. These are just short, brief descriptions. Of course, we could go deeper in this, but we don't have time.
But that's great. That's great because you're really clarifying it for people. Now, another question is, how many universes are out there? And according to how many there are, is there only one creator per universe, and who created the creator?
There is just one universe which has many aspects, and there is just one creator. I would not even call that a creator. It is the one.
Mm. And do you feel that there is like a prime creator of sub levels within the universe? Because they talk about the seven sub universes.
I don't agree completely with the whole idea of the creator. Actually, the universe was manifested as a result of dynamic tension between two very strong opposing forces. And it's not a deliberate, it's not actually a conscious act of creation. It's a dynamic interaction between two forces.
Now, that kind of sounds like the Big Bang.
In a way, yes. The Big Bang is a very simplified description of one phase of that process.
Okay, so Cobra, tell us a little bit about the underground bases. You said that they've definitely been cleared out, and you said that some of the light forces have moved in various areas. But what is going on with a lot of the rumors going around regarding the hollow Earth? They're claiming that there's a hole in the hollow Earth, and they actually showed a video, and I saw it, and where the light is coming out of this location. And it dates back to 1987, but supposedly now that location has been closed down. Do you agree with that?
Most of those videos, and there's a lot of disinformation in that area, and those videos are fake.
Wow. Even the one where it shows, it actually shows, I don't even know how to describe it, an energy field that is coming out of the pole.
Most likely, yes, but I would need to see the video itself to definitely say, but the whole idea of the polar opening is disinformation campaign.
Okay.
It is not like that.
Okay. Now, another person wrote in and said, Cobra wrote about rich people who get rich by their involvement with the Cabal, and that this one might be fiercely against the light forces, that the resistance suggests general amnesty to those who are not involved in deeply inhumane criminal acts. In this case, is the Russian Chordokowski an example of amnesty?
It's a very fine line. People will need to decide that. It will be a consensus of humanity. Of course, those people will need to go through a trial, and if a combination of light forces and surface humanity agrees with an amnesty, that will be granted.
Okay.
But I would simply suggest not to people to go into revenge mode because that will not solve anything.
Yeah, this is true. Well, and we don't want to lower ourselves to their vibrational level, do we?
Exactly, exactly.
Now,
of course, those people, even if they are granted amnesty, will not have access to any kind of power, never in their future on this planet. They're finished.
you know, this just popped in. Now, what is your feeling about the 3 major articles that just came out recently about the deaths of bankers? I believe one hung himself, one jumped out of a building, another one had a sudden death. Is this part of a cabal war?
Basically, those people mainly wanted to reveal the truth about gold price manipulation, and they were simply silenced by the cabal.
Okay. Well, there you go, everybody. We finally got that answer. Now, the other question I had, too, was there is an article out there that says that a university student has seen a planet heading this way, and there is a link. What is your opinion on that? I can read you a little bit. It says the famous white planet that was discovered in the late 50s that Dr. Strange has said is real and is it headed this way? According to Rob Potter, Dr. Frank Strange is the contactee of who met Valiant Thor from Venus, said that there is such an object that is benevolent and will eventually arrive here in the article.
There is no planet heading towards the Earth.
You sound disgusted, Cobra.
Well, I'm just repeating what I said many times before.
Yeah, I know. Okay, now regarding the Archons, people have this question. Just clarify this for us. If there are a whole bunch of Archons, are they actually splitting a reincarnation mission? Like they want to have clarification as to how their incarnations work and how they receive their so-called contracts and missions. Is it like us?
They keep reincarnating into major bloodline families in the positions of power.
Okay. And so, I mean, do they actually have some sort of contract like we do? I mean, it's pretty much the same, or are they just kind of being,
Everybody has a contract.
Okay. And do you agree with Cameron Day that it isn't necessarily a contract that we chose?
It's a tricky situation because at some point you had to make a decision to get involved in the process to come here, but from that moment on, you were mainly forced to sign contracts.
Yes.
So you have to cancel out all the contracts, including the original decision that got you involved in the whole process.
And it makes so much more sense when you look at, what are they saying, like 95% of all families are completely dysfunctional?
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
Oh, so here's a good question for you. This individual says, I've heard a lot about the Cabal promoting satanic symbols through the media and music and the award ceremonies like the Grammys, that they are actually large-scale rituals. Could Cobra give a technical explanation of how this gives them energy and how that energy is used?
One aspect of this, they use those symbols to reinforce the deeper mind programming of their mind control victims, to reinforce the control over the system. And number 2 is to use those symbols to influence the subconsciousness of the masses, to program them in a way that they will obey the orders of the Cabal. So this is how they use it.
And wasn't the Wizard of Oz like a really, wasn't that consistently used in this mind control?
Yeah, this is one big example of it.
Yeah. So, Cobra, I have a question for you. What is your opinion of the seat of the soul being in the solar plexus versus the heart? So, like, coming from the heart or coming from the seat of the soul, which do you feel is more significant?
The seat of the soul as being in the solar plexus comes from old Chinese spiritual traditions. And this is a certain phase that people go through, and then they progress to the heart. And the next phase is integrating all the chakras. So you have all the chakras and all the energy vortex is completely active and completely fluid and transparent.
Oh, excellent. Thank you for that. That's really good. And Cobra, everybody wants to know, including me, did you graduate with honors?
Pardon?
Did you graduate with honors? People are blown away by how much you know.
This is not coming from formal education. This is coming from my contact with who I am, and my remembrance of my source, my origin.
Okay, well, that answers some questions. And Cobra, we're starting to tie up the hour, but I really want your opinion on the video, and I know you already saw it. There was a video that was put out, I think it was from another country, I think it was Portuguese, and they were comparing your take on ISON versus Tolex. Do you know which one I'm talking about?
Yes.
Okay. Did you want to comment on that? Because that had a lot of information in there. It flew all over the Internet. There was a great deal of discussion about it.
Well, the only thing I can say, I have already stated my perspective on ISON, and people can interpret this any way they want.
Did you feel that, some of the comments that were made were even possible? For example, they were saying that it actually had a magnetic field of radiation around it, and it was in a cage, but it was cloaked.
You see, people have a problem because my perspective on the comment is not the same as Tolik has, and they want to reconcile that fact. But what I'm saying, the comet ISON was just a regular comet, and there is no spaceship inside, outside, or anywhere near it in a way that would be anyhow significant. The comet was important to awaken the masses to the reality of existence of the space beyond this planet. And the other fact is there are spaceships all over the place in all kinds of orbits around this planet in the solar system, and they are not limited to any cometary orbit. They are everywhere.
Okay. And do you feel that this one had any kind of connection with the Hopi prophecy of the blue comet? Or
this is not yet the blue star Kachina of the Hopi prophecy.
Wow, so it hasn't even come yet. Okay.
Not yet.
Wow. Okay. Well, we're getting to the top of the hour, but I wanted to see if you had any other. I noticed you put up a pretty cool blog today. I was kind of freaked out when I saw Cobra Beyond the Veil. I thought you might have just beamed up to your ship and taken off. But did you have anything you wanted to share with everybody before we go?
Yes. After many decades, I had my experience being beyond the veil. It's a very liberating experience. That showed me practically, confirmed the information, the intel I received from the resistance about what's going on out there. And yes, we're going to be free.
That's awesome. When did this happen?
This happened about 1 week ago.
Good for you. I can't wait till I experience the same thing.
You see, after the event, all this will become possible more and more for people, because everybody deserves to be able to freely travel throughout, not only to near space, but beyond, to be, for every citizen of this planet to become a cosmic citizen. This is a very important aspect of dissolving the quarantine status of this planet.
Very cool. And in fact, please make sure you check out his blog, because he talks about these stratospheric balloons that we can all create to create more cracks in the matrix. So let's do it, folks.
Yes, it's not that difficult, it's not that expensive, and people are a little bit impatient about the event. There is something that they can do in the meantime.
Yeah, I agree. Well, thank you, Cobra, as usual, for the update for January, and we'll see you in about a month. And do you expect March to be a really positive month for us?
Things are going to accelerate from now on, so it's going to be very, very interesting.
Cool. Well, you guys heard it directly from Cobra. Hang on to your hats and stay tuned. And what we definitely need from everybody listening to this interview is stay out of fear. No more fear. We don't have time for fear. We are powerful. We need to unite like the Cabal has already done for how many years, Cobra?
Well, one thing they learned is they need to cooperate to survive, and we need to cooperate to win.
There you go. Oh, I love that. I'm going to put that on my website. So thanks, everybody, for tuning in to galacticconnection.com. If you have any questions, drop me a line. And for those of you that are checking out the implant removal, it is at the top of the blog. And Cobra, I just want to thank you. And we all love you. And thanks for everything you do for the light.
And everybody, thanks for listening, and the victory of light is near.
Yes, victory to the light. Yoo-hoo! Bye.
Okay, bye.